Well, in any event, today's gadget is from the Paul and Gardner company, Gardco, and this is a USB digital microscope. We've seen one of these before, I think, haven't we, Dirk?
Yeah, Mike, we have. I mean, I think a few years ago we had a USB digital microscope. There's quite a few of them out there. They kind of comes in different shapes and sizes. This one happens to be from Gardco, and I'll just show you real quick what it looks like. We'll hold it up here to our gauge cam. There we go. You can see this is kind of the business part of it. It's just a little, I don't know, 4-inch long tube, maybe 1.25 inch in diameter, little focus knob right here, integrated LED lighting. I mean, when you get down to it, this is really just a web camera with microscope optics in front of it, and it plugs into the USB port on your computer. Now, the way these typically work, the way this one works, and come back to our main camera here. The way this one typically works is that given any working distance from the objective to your object, it has a low magnification and a high magnification. So there isn't, this is kind of, a lot of people aren't aware of this with these, there isn't a continuous magnification from, let's say, 20x to 200x. It basically, you set the working distance by how close you put this to the object you're going to measure, and then you have a low mag and a high mag that you can switch between on them. And let's take a look at that. If we come over here to our gauge cam, our software. Sorry about that. So this is the software that comes with the Gardco device, and I happen to be on a low magnification on a key right now, and I've adjusted the ring light, so I've got really nice lighting. And if you look at this, this is probably, I don't know, maybe 30, 40, 50x, something like that. And you can see the quality of the video, the quality of the image is very nice. By the way, I can take either a snapshot or a video of what I'm looking at here. And as I'm going around the edge of the key, you can see this works really well for visual inspection. Now, if I wanted to annotate this using this software, I could simply snag a picture of it, and I'll do that. I take a picture. I can now open up that picture, and let me expand that picture out a little bit. Let's do this, kind of do that. Let's zoom in a little. Go zoom in, and I want to annotate this a little bit. So I'm also going to set up. I'm going to set up the size of my font so I can leave some legible notes. Let's do white text, something like that. Okay. I also have to set the magnification. So I look on the barrel what magnification I'm using. It tells me on the barrel of my device that I'm at about looks like 34x. So I type 34x up here, and I'm actually now ready to take some measurements. So I can take my measurement tool, I can run down there like that, and I can measure the width of that. I'm not sure if you see it there. I did it in white text. Let me change my text color just to make it a little easier on you. Let's go something black here. Okay, so let me take that measurement again. There we go. And now we can see the width of that groove is about 1.3 millimeters. I can also measure angles. So I can come over here, click, roll over here, and of course it's down in the dark, so I need to change my text color again, but you get the idea. I can measure angles, I can measure diameters, radiuses, lengths, and annotate. I also can put a text box in here and just annotate what I've written. So now Gardco is very upfront about this. This isn't a super precise software or piece of hardware. This is an inexpensive tool, visual inspection tool. And the dimensional readings you get on it are reasonably close. If you're doing rough measurements, they'll be fine. If you're looking for something super precise, this is not the instrument for you. You want something that costs a whole lot more than what this would cost. But as a visual inspection tool and a way to just quickly go through and measure things, take angles, it works very well. So we were looking at a low magnification. I'm going to show you what high mag looks like. So I'm going to leave my camera right where it's at, and now I'm going to switch to high mag, and we'll find an appropriate spot on this key. Let's do it here. We'll bring it into focus. There we go. And let me throw a little bit more light on it. By the way, the ring light on this is adjustable. This could probably stand to have a bit more, so let's crank up the volume a bit. There we go. So now you can see I'm at probably, I don't know, 200, 300 magnification on this. You can see I can see every single scratch on that key. I can see every single nick on the teeth. So for a visual inspection tool, this actually works pretty darn well. And if you think about it, typically in a lot of places where you would do this kind of inspection, you would be using some sort of inspection microscope. And if you've ever worked at a microscope for any long period of time, you know that can get a little tiring. This you just plug into a computer, a laptop, a desktop computer. It's displayed right on the screen. It's a very easy interface, very, very ergonomically comfortable for people to use. Now, I want to tell you kind of another function here. We can come back to the main cam. Another function that we have here that is kind of undocumented. In the documentation for this Gardco USB digital microscope, it says that the working distance is 10 millimeters to 500 millimeters. And I believe that's because that's where its accuracy is if you're trying to take measurements. However, if you use it just as a camera, and it is essentially just a webcam with binocular on the front of it, if you use it just as a webcam, it actually focuses to infinity, which means you can do some other things with this that are a little undocumented. So my use for it is actually as an inspection camera for larger areas. And we'll come to one here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to aim this over at we can see over here, I have a little printed circuit board over here. Now how you normally might use this is I would recommend mounting the camera on a boom above your workspace and putting your printed circuit board underneath it like that, so the camera is permanently mounted and focused, and you move your circuit board around, but that's harder for me to do here, so I'm just going to do it sideways. And now if we come back to our software, I'm going to focus on that circuit board. There we go. So now I'm focused on the circuit board, and now I can do a visual inspection of solder joints, which is a very common inspection function in electronics. And I could use the camera to scroll around and look at all the solder joints close up on the back of this circuit board. And if I found one I didn't like, hey, guess what? I take a photo of it, open up that photo, I can zoom in on it a little bit. Let me select a font. Well, let's go to a big font here. There we go. Select a font, create a text box, and I can say, bad solder joint. If I spelled it right, can't type, don't have my glasses on, solder joint, there we go. And I could even draw an arrow. So I could take an arrow from my little note and draw it down to a suspicious solder joint right there. Save this out, and there you go. Your inspector has documented a bad solder joint on a circuit board that can then be printed out, put on a report, saved in an email, whatever. So this is actually just kind of a neat little something else that you could do with this tool besides using it as a microscope. Like I said, it will focus to infinity, so it's pretty useful. They're relatively inexpensive, as I said. So this is the Gardco USB digital microscope. There's a link underneath the player page. If you click that, that'll take you out to their site, onto that page, and you can read more about the specs on this device. So that's it. Mike, back to you.
Thank you, Dirk. And yes, there it is from Gardco, the USB microscope. Very simple device, a very practical device. A lot of uses that Dirk gave you for that one. And I think there's probably some other ones that we haven't even cover there, Dirk. So
cool.
That's a cool little device for all of you out there.
And let me mention, you don't have to use their software. It does show up as a webcam on your computer. So if you didn't need to do the measurement or some of the other functions of their software, it'll just open up as a webcam.
Yeah.
And so you could use it on Skype if you wanted to share information over Skype or whatever. So it actually it's pretty cool.
It's got a lot of cool functionality there. All right. Well, thank you, Dirk. Thank you, Gardco, for sending that to us.